Go Peacocks.
Yes. Thank you guys for coming, because I understand that this was not required, right? Kudos to you guys. So what'd you give up coming here? Like Netflix. Oh, what else?
This was our first choice.
First
We gave up
choice.
nothing. This was our first choice coming.
First,
This is
well,
of course.
that's why you're sitting in the front row, aren't you? Thank you. Well, it is a pleasure always to come back, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to have a chance to talk to students. Daryl was reminding me this is the third time that I've done this, and I've even spoken with the staff, and I was just on a conference call with President Duffy and the board, so I just really appreciate the opportunity to talk to fellow Peacocks. Question. I saw this in front of Kohl's, if you want to know the store. But what if an employer was hiring, why would they want you to be yourself? Because ultimately you're getting an education to get hired, or maybe you'll hire yourself, and then you're going to have customers or clients contract you. But why would it be important to be yourself? Yes?
I feel like it's always important to be yourself, because if you're not yourself with your employer, then how do they know they can trust you?
And we're going to talk about trust. That's a big component of that. In fact, I love your shirt. Has you guys all seen her shirt? Would you stand up and model it? She is a confident woman because she is beautiful, talented, queen. Let's see the wave. Nice. What's your name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany. Thank you, Tiffany. And I want to talk with you guys, so I want to come down here. For any of us to truly be free, and I always say and get a good night's rest, if we are to learn to soar in this changing world, how many of you are freshmen? Okay, so this has been a big change for you guys, hasn't it? You know, I say that even going from junior high to high school, you know, when you were in junior high, 8th grade, you were the top dog. And then when you went to high school, you were the bottom of the totem pole. And as freshmen, you are learning new trends, new ways. We must first be willing to be responsible for our actions. And so what I want to do with our time together this evening is to help you to soar away. Do peacocks soar? I talk about eagles a lot, but I thought, I don't know, do they fly, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
They fly, okay. All right, so we're going to fly out of here as peacocks with a renewed effectiveness by putting your feet on the ground, spreading your wings, and designing your flight plan for future success. Can you tell I'm dating a fighter pilot? Talk about that. Transform your lives by becoming a genuine, honest, and authentic person. And you've already talked about, you know, being true to yourself is important. And last, I want to give you some strategies to push yourself to soar at even greater heights than you already are. Our truths for today is I want to challenge us to talk about what people don't talk about at work, home, school, and maybe life in general. And some of this might make you nervous, but I want you to know that you're amongst friends, and we're just going to have some fun with it. So when Daryl asked me about some topic areas, the one that caught his attention was about being real. And maybe it's with age, maybe it's some of the things that I've gone through recently. I've lost both my mom and my dad over this last year. And I've now going to be celebrating 25 years of my own business. I've gone through some highs, I've gone through some lows, but I think the lows are the greatest lessons that I've learned. And so I want to help you to be real in your early age, because if I would have known then what I know now, I would have done things maybe a little bit different, or at least I would have been smarter. I want you to first of all help you to be aware of who you are. You spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with yourself. How many of you like yourself? Okay, how many of you like the person sitting next to you? Turn to him and say, yeah, I like you. Very good, that's good. Tuning into your thoughts and feelings, because I wrote a book about attitudes, and attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference on what you think and what you say and ultimately what you do. Another component of being real is being willing, or I just would say brave enough to be honest, not only with yourself, but with others. I had to confess to Daryl, I'm like, okay, I'm still driving up from Des Moines. If I would have thought about this differently, I would have put the dogs, I would have had the dogs taken care of, but instead I had to take the dogs to Elkader, which is where my parents live, and come here. Not that I sped or anything. So being honest with yourself, because the truth will set you free. and be willing to confess to others. You know, saying things like, I'm sorry. Why is that so tough for us to say, I'm sorry? Yes, exactly. And when we admit to ourselves, let alone to someone else, we think they're going to think less of it. But when someone has apologized for you, maybe they said something that hurt your feelings, maybe they didn't do something they were supposed to do, when someone genuinely apologizes to you, do you think less of them? Yeah. So when you think about it, when you're truly honest and be willing to admit that you've done something wrong, you will truly be free in and out of the classroom. So I'm going to show you a picture of a person. And I want you all to have a buddy. Do we have buddies here? Two. Daryl, you want to hook up with him? And then I think we got buddies going. All right. Without much thought, I want you to share with your buddy 3 words that would describe this person. Go ahead. Don't think too much. First 3 words. And how old? Tell your buddy how old you think this person is. Am I in your way? All right, let's hear some words. How would you describe this person? Eccentric. Thank you, Sharon. Others?
It's an old and a young lady.
Mm.
Here, like when you first look at it, you see the young lady, but if you look deeper into the picture, you can see the older lady who like has her head down, kind of has like a bigger nose and a long chin.
Okay, yep, you're right. How many of you first saw the young woman? Okay, or the sophisticated, eccentric. Okay, if you were to imagine, she is actually looking off to, oops, didn't mean to do that, sorry about that. She's looking off her shoulder, this is for some reason not showing up, and you're seeing her eyelash and just her chin. Think of the necklace as a pearl, and then the older woman, you're seeing her entire head. Okay, so instead of her neck, it's her chin and her big honk of nose, as some people say. But why? What did that point out to us? You all saw the same thing.
Perception's a crazy thing.
It is. And might you treat the young woman different than the older woman? Okay, in what ways might you reach out to the older woman? How would you connect with her if you saw her?
Like if you saw her and talked to her, your language is going to be different.
Okay.
You'll be more respectful than
Okay.
a younger person.
Okay. Thank you. Any other ways you might respond to her? Sometimes people say they think she might need help or assistance, so you'd offer, can I help you? How about the younger woman?
She either looks shy or she's uptight. So if she's uptight, you're gonna have nothing to do with her. But
Okay.
if she's shy, you might want to try to get her to open up.
Yeah. So imagine, without any spoken words, you formulate an opinion about this person and how you would respond to her. They say that we form as many as 11 impressions about someone in the first 7 seconds of meeting. Same too with you and me. Okay, you came in here, you were formulating opinions about me, I was formulating opinions about you. Guess what? When we assume, what happens? We're usually not right. So, a couple things. Our judgment on people or situations is the rightness or wrongness of something or someone. Will I like her? Will I learn from her? Will I like him? Will I get along with him? The usefulness of something or someone. Can you learn from someone? Will someone help you or hinder you? A comparison or other relativity. In other words, maybe you saw that picture and you thought about someone else, maybe someone that you knew. And oftentimes it comes from our set of values. How many of you are from Iowa? Okay. How many from out of the state? Where are you guys from? Arizona, where it's hot. Illinois. Nebraska. Oh, Cornhuskers. Florida? Minnesota. All right. Did I miss anybody? All right. So again, what you do in your childhood has brought you to where you are so far. How many of you have roommates? Okay. How many of you like your roommates? Anyone here with your roommate? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. So what I would like you to do, what if we didn't judge people? What if we accepted them for being different than us in their looks, in their thoughts, in their backgrounds? And you had this attitude that they're not right or wrong, okay? You're not better, you're not smarter, you're not dumber, you're not slower, okay? So again, having the attitude that that person is not smart or stupid, not better or worse, because sometimes people do comparisons. Are you better, smarter, faster? I think sometimes in our life we collect toys and people have this more monster. They want more of this. If your friend has one thing, you want one thing plus. I have 2 Labradors. How many of you have pets? And they're both labs. And Bailey is a very mellow yellow lab. And Murphy is a silver bullet. And he constantly wants to have more attention than Bailey. So sometimes we are driven by that. Are you a thriver or a survivor? Oops, see, here goes my goofy little thing here. The survivors tend to keep up with change. They react to events that happen to them. They play it safe. They don't stretch themselves too much. They tend to think narrower. They stick to what they know. They want to and need to feel secure. They see work as a labor, in other words, something that they have to do. They tend to avoid pain. They often ask what's necessary. In other words, what do I need to do to get by? And others think about learning as an effort. Whereas thrivers anticipate change. They initiate, in other words, they make things happen. They play to win. They create opportunities. They think expansively. They take charge of their destiny or of their situation. They want to explore. They want to expand their potential. They think of work as a laboratory. What if you were to think about school as a laboratory? Turn to a buddy and answer, what would that mean? If you thought about school as a laboratory, what would that mean? All right. So if you thought of school or your education as a laboratory, what would that mean to you? How would you tend to think about going to class or studying?
The way we thought about it was experimenting. So like in college, you're going to do tons of different things to find out who you are, to find out what works for you, whether that be in the classroom or in your social life.
Okay, yeah. And how many of you, for instance, know exactly what you want to do with the rest of your life after you graduate? You might have some ideas, okay? But you really don't know until you get out and try a little. So if you think about life filled with different chapters, we go through different phases. Your freshman is a phase, your sophomore is a phase, your junior, senior, postgraduate work. All of those are lessons that you are learning about yourself and what's important to you. Think of learning as life. Life is full of choices. We choose where we live. And obviously, choosing to move from the state that you were born in, moving to Fayette was a choice. And choosing Upper Iowa University, good choice. You also have a choice of your entertainment in your home or in your room. Many of you probably have this gadget and been allowed to hold it once or twice in your hand. What am I referring to? The remote. What's the first button we look for when we turn it on? Yeah, and isn't it true whoever has the remote has the power? What happens when we get to a show or channel we don't want to watch? Yeah, and how quickly you can surf through 90 channels and say there's nothing good on. Well, that same too is with you in your life. Each day of your life, whether you got 2 hours of sleep or a good 8 hours of sleep, you choose what kind of day you're going to have. You can choose to have a great day and get good results in your school, classes, tests, projects, or you can choose to complain because you didn't get enough sleep or something bad happened. And to help you remember that, I'm going to give each of you a gift. You were to get a yellow band. Did everyone get one? Did anyone not? All right. Coming your way. All right. And I'm going to send one to you too, Jackson. It's coming your way. Ooh! Got one? Didn't punch any eyeballs out. All right. So what I'd like you to do is think about this attitude control band like the remote control to your television set to channel the power within. So I'm going to ask you first of all to put it around your wrist. It can be your left or right. The choice is yours. And it's a one size fits most. So if it's a little tight, you can stretch it. It's also good aerobic exercise. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to wear this for at least the next 7 days of your life, which means you're going to go home with it tonight. You're going to sleep with it. You're going to take a shower with it tomorrow. You're going to go through all your classes. And if you catch yourself doing what I call stinking thinking, allowing any negative thoughts about yourself, your roommate, a teacher, an assignment enter your mind, there you go. You got it. Grab that band and snap yourself out of it. Because think of your lessons in life as learning. Now you also have people that you interact with, and you've heard the cliche, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. So during that week, if you happen to hear anyone here, husband and wife, roommates, classmates, athletes, start whining or complaining about something, I'm giving you my permission to give them their band a snap. So to some, this could be a pretty painful experience, but I think for the most part, you'll learn to realize just how influential your attitude is to what you think, say, and do. All right, what if you were to plan the celebration of your life? There was a book written by Stephen Covey, and it's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits is that they are able to begin with the end in mind. Now I know you probably haven't even thought about, how do I get through college, let alone what do I want to do after my career. But if you were to think about what you would like people to describe you as when you are retiring, what would you like them to say about you? And here are the things that I've come up with. Oh, here's the dash. I'm going to show you a video. Oops, the dash. Hang on.
Nissan Rogue. Blind spot warning and intuitive all-wheel drive. Nissan.com. Click now for great local offers like this.
What do I have to do? Just let it go?
What's that?
What's that?
You gotta pull it up
How
on
do
the
I get
screen.
Oh, it's not pulled up. Oh. What caused that?
I have no idea. I don't know what to do.
Huh. Technology always does it, doesn't it? It's funny that it just jumped right out of that.
Yeah, that's the number up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology. That's the attitude thing here.
There's a button, but it doesn't normally look like this.
We can go without it too.
We could just.
As long as you can put it just to the. I think I can. See this? Doing that both.
No.
No. Do the extend. And then at least, let's just go back to the projector. PowerPoint.
No, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, can you just go to the, and go to the next one. We'll just skip over that one. No, show it. There we go. Okay. Well, technology.
We have that all the time.
I know, it always gets the best of us. Well, go out to YouTube, you guys all have access to that, and type in the dash. And the gist of the story is, when you think about the beginning of your life and the end of your life, what matters most is not the day you're born, nor the death of your death. It's the dash. How are you going to live your life? And perhaps it's because I've been around and lost several loved ones that I've become more appreciative of each day. But in the end, the only thing you can take with you is the legacy. And I was going through, actually, it was 1991. I had just gotten married, and I inherited 2 stepkids, and I lost my job. And I spent a day and a half in retreat with myself trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Who am I? And in the conclusion, I thought, the only thing I really have control over is who I am. So I came out with 3 guiding statements that still continue to navigate my world. First is that I'm a happy and healthy person. I choose to be happy. There's a lot of bad things in life that happen to us, to the world, but I choose to bring happiness to myself and others around me. And when I was in college, I actually got sick. I was diagnosed with bronchial pneumonia because I was paying for my college as well as working 2 jobs and maintaining a 4.0 grade point average when I could hardly walk up the steps without getting exhausted. So I realized that if I don't take care of myself, I can't do the things that I want to do. You gave it the look like somebody's got to be careful, right?
I have pneumonia right now.
Oh, you do? Ah, and really? Well, get your rest. I can't beat that. My family is very important, and so I set out to be a loving, caring, and then I just recently added patient because I was taking care of my parents. And I think that because Mom had dementia and my dad just recently had leukemia, I have learned through that sometimes life doesn't happen exactly the way you want it to. So loving, caring, patient daughter, sister, I actually have grandkids, they call me Nana, relative and friend. And the last, that went fast, didn't it? Guides my profession, and that I'm an honest and trustworthy professional. I have the pleasure of working with organizations throughout the country. And whether I'm in Nebraska or whether I'm in Colorado or whether I'm in Fayette, I want to make sure that I leave behind the fact that I was honest. And here's the reason that is true. There's an author, Oscar Wilde, who said, "Be yourself because everyone else is already taken." You are who you are because of your past. And I think of this as an intersection of all of our life's journey during this hour together. So who are you? And that was supposed to go like, do you remember the song? Who are you? Who? Come on, you can sing along. It's isn't it CSI's theme song? Who are you? Who? Yeah, I know I'm not a karaoke, but who are you? Why might we not be real? Why might we not be authentic? Why are we trying to be like someone else? Be like Mike, you may have heard. Here are some reasons. Sometimes you do and say what you think other people want you to. Maybe you were in a high school clique. And unfortunately, there's not only cliques in high school, there's cliques in college, there's even cliques in the workplace, there's even cliques in neighborhoods. And sometimes we feel like we would get along better if we said, and even we dressed like certain people. We feel as though we'd fit in and be liked and accepted better. I can't help but think about Bruce or now Caitlyn Jenner. For his, I don't know how old he is, but for years, he was trying to be what everyone else thought he should be. And sometimes we're just scared. We're scared of what people might say about us. But I will say that oftentimes you lose sleep. You know, I have gone through and I called it World War III. I remember in my senior year, I finally confronted our ringleader because she was telling me what I was supposed to do on the weekends, how I was supposed to dress, who I was supposed to talk to. And I had my mom's motto was dare to be different. And it just did not fit well with me, but I was torn between what my friends thought I should be and what I really thought I was. And my friends came up to me after that and said, thanks, we should have done that a long time ago. So how can we be authentic? We oftentimes think about having to be smart. Now, I left I left high school as valedictorian. I was the best of my high school class, so I thought that I had to be on that same track in college. So I had to be the best. I had to be cool. I remember Fonzie, okay? You had to be cool. You had to look as though nothing bothered you. Charming, brave, whatever it might be that you thought you were or should be. Liked, strong, creative, funny, and in control. Now, I will say each of those qualities, I see myself. But I also see myself as sometimes not very funny, not very creative. And being willing to say, I don't know, is a sign of strength. Because guess what? When you say, I don't know or I'm scared, was someone apt to help you out? So what I'd like you to do is think about, either use my list or you can use your own list. But I'd like you to turn to your buddy and describe yourself using 3 words. Okay? Who really are you? How many of you see yourself as being creative? Show of hands. All right, there was a study done with 2 groups. A group that felt they were creative and a group that felt they were not creative. And they studied where they were brought up, what their education was, what their hobbies were, what they ate, everything about them. And at the conclusion of the study, the only difference between those people that thought they were creative and those that thought they were not was their mere thought. So for those of you who did not raise your hand, grab that band of yours and snap yourself out of it. Because you are all creative in your own way. How many have ever put together a puzzle? A jigsaw puzzle? Okay, how many have ever wrapped a present? Sometimes that takes a little creative, especially when you're getting to the end of the roll. How many have ever made a gift, okay, and gave it to a friend or to a parent, okay? How many have ever gone on a scavenger hunt? Or if you can go with Daryl this week, they're going to go rafting. Any of you going rafting? You doing awesome, okay? Anytime you are doing something out of your normal routine, you are being creative. So I'd like for you to think about who you are, not what you're trying to be, but who you truly are. The word try, I'm focusing in on because people will oftentimes use that word as an escape. You might get invited to a party and you'll say, oh, I'm really going to try to make it. What are you really saying? You're not going to make it, okay? So why, again, do we not want to tell people the truth? I'd much rather know, okay, great, I'd love for you to come, but I understand you're busy, versus having someone meet unmet expectations. So the idea is you want to be the best. Pat, I'm actually working on a thesis about my mom's name was Pat, but I wanted to use that as an acronym that talks about the difference between telling the truth and pretending. Because I think a lot of times we pretend everything, and not to say, I guess there's a difference between pretending that you are in control when you really are not in control. Because I believe sometimes when you are unhappy If you can smile, sometimes it creates this facade and you'll start to feel happy. But sometimes in a public presence, again, whether it's to your friends, to your teachers, later when how many of you have a part-time job? Okay? Sometimes even with your bosses. Okay? If you are pretending that you are running on schedule or you're getting things done the way they're supposed to, it might catch you up. So the difference between pretending and the truth. Oops. Here are some hot topics that we may not be totally truthful. One is expectations. I remember when my now ex-husband asked my stepson to go out and rake the yard. It was probably about this time of year. And he said, Chad, I want you to go out and rake the backyard. And I want you to do a good job. And Chad said, you know, Dad, I want you to come out and kind of tell me what you want me to do. Because I don't want to do what I think is a good job, only to find out that it's what? Not good enough. So sometimes we aren't clear with our expectations. How many of you are in a leadership role? Okay, and leadership can be anything from a committee to a project. And I do all kinds of work with leaders. And I think sometimes the leaders always feel like they have to have all the answers. Now, when you think about being on a team, do you think more or less of a leader who's willing to say, I'd like your opinion? Yeah, so as a leader, knowing that you have to be real with yourself and your team. Work ethic, appearance, accountability, financial, sexual preferences, or competence. Being willing to say, I don't know, but I could help you out. What would you say, and I'm going to have you turn to your buddy, what would be some other awkward or unspoken difficult topics, either at school or at home? I'm going to give you a couple minutes. What would be some of those topics that you don't want to know about or talk about? All right, what would you say? How about at school? What are some of those things that are hard for you to bring up or talk about? Obviously, you don't want to bring them up, huh? Okay, so what's going on at home, how it affects your school life? Okay. Anyone homesick? You ever miss mom, dad? No way. Okay. Miss friends? Okay. So sometimes those are some lonely moments. How about at home? I'll give you mine. We grew up, my mom was a school teacher, and I will credit mom to helping me be as successful as I am, because she strived to make sure my brother and I did well. So we only talked about what we did well. We never talked about our failures or our struggles. And so part of what my brother and I say, you know what, we grew up in Elkader, Northeast Iowa, where it was pretty, I'll call it Smallville. It was a pretty comfortable, we never locked our doors. We grew up thinking that everything is rosy, there's no problems. And I think a lot of times knowing how do you face conflict, how do you face those challenges and overcome those are some great lessons. When you are vulnerable, you show a degree of confidence. You show confidence amongst your team members, it could be your peers. I think our intentions are oftentimes good, and there's no reason to be protective or careful around them. In essence, teammates, or when you're with a group of friends, that you call teams, or when you work with a group, they must get comfortable and be vulnerable with one another. But sometimes we are not willing to be vulnerable because it requires us to be truthful. So here's a little quiz. If you have intentions without action is an insult to those you expect the best from you. We have good intentions. We know we want to be a good person. We know we want to do good on that project. But sometimes, I say, life happens. So if you were to add up the things that you have done so far in your life, what would be your score? Mine's 190. What would yours be? Some of you are pulling out calculators. All right, and when you're finished, turn to your buddy and share what your number was. Same numbers? Ah. All right, so how do you feel about that list? Some of you might feel pride. Some of you might feel courageous. Some of you might feel humbled. What are some of your emotions and you look at that list? Or what if your parents were here and you had to go through that list? Would that cause a different kind of emotion? Okay. I used to tell my stepson, if you're doing something that you can't tell me about, you're probably doing something you shouldn't be doing. Okay? But through our life, we learn. Do we not? And as long as you've learned some things from those about yourself or others, it will have been a truth. And speaking of truth, and we tried to play this little clip, but it probably wouldn't work, so at least I'm going to take you back to a movie, A Few Good Men. Do you remember seeing that movie? This was Colonel Jessup, and he was on the witness stand talking with the character played by, the attorney played by Tom Cruise, and he was trying to find out what was happening with two young, were they Marines, in Guantanamo, and he was trying to press the truth about Code Red, right? And you remember the scene? He wanted the truth, and he said, you can't handle the truth. And sometimes our society, sometimes workplaces, sometimes families can't deal with the truth. But my belief is it's far better to know the truth than to withhold information. I'm going to ask you to think about a time when you came clean. I can give you one that's probably relevant for you guys in college. I only cheated once in college, and it was a case where it was I remember it completely. It was an advanced accounting class. It was on a Friday morning, which is not a good thing because usually Thursday nights are going out, and someone had got a hold of the answer key, and so there was a whole bunch of us that decided we'd go out. Well, the teacher caught us. There was a whole group of us, and we came clean. We basically said that we did it, and I remember him telling us he was disappointed, that word disappointed in us, because the ones that got caught were good students. So turn to your buddy and describe a time, when did you come clean with your parents, with a teacher, with a friend, with a spouse? All right. How many of you had an experience of having to come clean? Okay. How many of you have something in your back pocket that you need to come clean on? Realize that you can sleep a lot better when you let it go. Just how many of you seen the movie Frozen? Let it go. Let it go. All right. So the word integrity. You know, you hear a lot about integrity in organizations. Integrity, a working definition, is it's what you tend to do or say when no one is around or when no one is looking. Will you do the right thing? Our truths can be the perception is reality. Truths are the people's belief which may not be factual. In other words, we have certain unalienable truths that we feel are about who we are, this university, your friends, and it's the perception that becomes reality. So let's do a little stroll back when you were selecting Upper Iowa University. What were some of the truths that you had about Upper Iowa University? From what you read, what you saw, what someone told you? Yes?
The mall was closer.
The mall was closer. What mall would that be? Any mall. Okay, so you thought shopping was closer, all right. What else? What else was your perception? What's that? What were the truths?
I guess traveling from Phoenix to here would be a breeze. That was the thing that they told me,
Okay.
which is not
Where do you usually fly into?
Des Moines.
Des Moines. It's a pretty drive. Okay. All right, one more. Let's have some truths over from this neck of the woods. You're a freshman, right? Yeah. So what have been some early truths that have surfaced?
Yeah, I remember my dad always told me, like, you'd be closer with your professors and so I haven't really like any mine one-on-one.
Okay. So in reality, to what degree do you make those truths come true, or do you change your perception? Okay. So part of your relationship with your professors will be as you get to know them and they get to know you. Shopping. Guess what? How many of you have shopped online? You can shop online now, and it doesn't have to be close to the malls. For your travel to and from Phoenix, I used to live in Phoenix. Figure out which airline gives you the best miles and get your super savers. Okay. So some more truths. Truths can establish your perception, perspective of north. As long as you know individuals north, you can determine how far off you are from their north. That's true about how you strike up relationships. You know, can you trust people? Can you trust fellow students, your classmates, your teachers, the educators? And the degree in which you are in line with them will help you be congruent. Oops, sorry about that, there it goes again. So what are some of the truths? I'd like for you to identify, what are you good at? Are you good with technology? Are you good with numbers? Are you good with projects? Are you good with people? Who do you enjoy being around? Do you enjoy working with kids? Do you enjoy working with people that are elderly? Do you enjoy people that are coming to you for advice? What is it that you like to do? And most likely, those things come easy to you. Someone gave me great advice when I was in college. My father said, son, figure out what you like to do in life, learn how to make money doing it, and you will never work a day in your life. And he said, as a teenager, he said, I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I figured out he liked to cook. He went off into the Army, became a chef, and to this day, he runs a very successful Italian catering service on the south side of Des Moines. And you can tell that he loves what he does. So learn and put that in the back of your mind or your pocket, and when you get out there and try a job, think about what is it that you like to do. So turn to your buddy, what is it that you like to do? What classes do you like to take? What studies get you excited. Do that now.
That's good, I guess. I hope you like that.
Do you guys remember back in, I think it's second grade, you were asked to write, what do you want to do when you grow up? Anyone remember what they wrote about? What'd you write about? Being a what?
Paleontology.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't have even spelled that back then.
I don't know, we were doing something with dinosaurs and I just knew that was pretty
That was it. Wow. Anything close to that now? Okay.
I wanted to be a firefighter.
Okay. What was the compelling reason for that?
I don't know. I guess I like fire. Like that's.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely not anywhere near that now.
And it could have a different flair to it.
Yeah, I'm a communications major.
Okay. Because I was thinking maybe something with emergency or something with. How about over here?
I wanted to be a firefighter too.
Okay. And what was it about that caught your interest?
I had a stuffed dog that was a Dalmatian.
Okay.
I used to think that I was like a firefighter and that was my little Dalmatian dog.
Well, don't discount those early thoughts. I thought I wanted to be a school teacher. Well, in a sense, I'm teaching. I took my first career was in computer programming. So don't discount your early thoughts because it might have given you some truths. Facing the truth. Sharing the truth will set you free. Joan London, who's recently been going through cancer, even on People magazine, showed a picture without hair. Be bold, be bald, go bald. It does take humility, confidence, and self-actualization. Oops. This is just... Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. You know, my dad said it's a lot easier to tell the truth because you don't have to remember the lies. You know, there's so much to remember. But if you always tell the truth, you don't have to second guess yourself. So creating a purpose statement. I'll give you an example. It tends to bring meaning to what you do. It is something that is continuous and it does not end. It defines how you make a difference in this world. And it tends to be based on your fundamental higher orders or values. Values are not things that you get shopping. Values are what's important to you. Obviously, we've been spending a lot of time this evening talking about honesty and integrity. But maybe it's quality. Maybe you are a perfectionist. Maybe you have to have everything just right. So that's a quality that you possess. It tends to be the central focus of your existence. Serves as a source of power and inspiration. Oops, gosh darn, look at that. Here's my purpose. Inspiring people with practical solutions for positive change. Now, it took me probably about 35 years before I could craft that, but each of those words is a description of a little bit of me. I like to teach, I like to inspire, I like to help people do things. Typically, when I'm working with a client or working with someone, they are going through some type of change and they want some degree of clarity or some degree of calmness. And so with that, I give them some solutions. How many of you have learned something today that can help you in your school, in your life, or in your relationship? Then I will have done my part. On how to be real. So being aware of yourself, how you feel, being honest with yourself and others, and being willing to confess to others that you might need some help. So I am going to, on this last slide, if I can get it to move, whoops, I am going to play a little game. I remember growing up in Elkader playing bingo. You guys remember that? So we're going to play a game. Do you guys have a pen or pencil or something you can punch through? You can punch through if you don't. Or a key, do you have a key? Oh, there you go. Anyone else need one? And thank you, Daryl, while you're up. Thank you for inviting me to come back. I enjoyed this. It's always a pleasure, and I'm going to be coming up in a couple weeks for your homecoming. All right. Need one? All right. So like bingo, I'm going to read off some numbers. Do you guys, everyone have one? Oh, you guys don't have to share. There we go. There you go. All right. I'm going to read off a number, and if that number is on your card, put an X through it. Put an X through that number. So the middle spot that has that character, you can put an X through of that already. That's your free spot. And the person who fills in a row going across, up and down, or diagonal is the winner. And normally we would say bingo, and in this game sometimes we say power, but let's say go Peacocks. How's that? And I'll have you put your fist in the air and stand up and shout, go Peacocks. So put both feet on the floor. Good luck. Have fun. All right. First one is P10, my new friends. P10. P7. P7. All right. R71. R71. O25. O25. I can tell this is a competitive bunch. W41. W41. How about W35? W35. If you're the winner, we want you to stand up and shout out loud. O28. O28. R64. R64. W33. W33. How about E51? Woo! Go Peacocks! Yes, you are right. You hadn't figured out that was rigged. But for just that, you are a winner with a, when you're wheel, and a winning attitude. Woohoo! Woo! So again, believe in yourself, be yourself, and be real. So again, thank you all. Go Peacocks. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
You are welcome.